I want to talk about a question that I got towards the end of 2024 and now in the beginning of 2025. I'm getting a hell of a lot more. And I cannot tell if it's because of the economy. People need jobs. A lot of people getting laid off in tech. People find it hard to break into advertising. But the one question I get more than any other question is, how do I break in PPC? How do I break into paid ads? How do I break into Google ads? How do I break into meta ads? How do I start my agency? It's those three or somewhere thereabouts. In all ways, my friends, my answer is very similar to all three of those. Are you a certified mechanic? And why do I say certified car mechanic? Why would I say something like that? Well, not a certified car mechanic, but are you a good car mechanic? Because only a dumbass would take their car to a shitty mechanic unless they're working on it for free or they could somehow do okay work just to get the car going till maybe they take it to a dealer or somebody who's more qualified. Or maybe do oil changes, right? Or maybe just change the tires. Or maybe just do a mild tune-up, something simple. But would you let them get into the car and change a gasket? What if they had to change a fuel sensor? A fuel sensor is probably one of the hardest things to get to in a car. You have to take up the head and go all the way in there. And the only reason why I know that is because I had mine changed. It cost me $3,000. And that's for a Ford Explorer, guys. That's an import or an export. Sorry. That's just a domestic car. That's just a Ford Explorer. No, I'm not driving no Beamer. I'm not driving no Benz. And I had to pay $3,500 for that at a dealer. And that's because the mechanic I went to literally said, I'm not going to work on it. Go to a dealer. There'll be others who will try to do it. You have to take everything out and then put everything back in together. Take it to a dealer. Pay the money. Don't be cheap on this. It's so easy to break wires. It's too delicate. Take it to a dealer. And I actually appreciate that advice. I'm going to plan to go back to that guy. I couldn't believe he said that. And I followed his advice. I followed his advice because I knew deep down inside he was a good mechanic. He could have easily got me for a third of that price. He could have easily got me for about $1,000. Hey, who car mechanic doesn't want an extra $1,000, $1,500, half the cost? He didn't. And the same applies to Google ads. How good are you? How good are you? Are you good or are you not good? Because it can't be, I'm okay, I can do this, I can do that. No, so that means you suck. That's when somebody says something like that means you suck. And I want to preface this with, you're putting a business out there. That's your name. That's your name. And if you don't know how to do something or promise that you're going to do it and you fuck it up, that's on you. And that's putting bad karma in the industry. I've been getting this question a lot lately because of 2025. And I mean, now I just say this. Go do something hard. If you really want to get in Google ads, first thing is mentorship. I always say, get a easy job at an entry-level job, coordinator job at an agency and learn. Well, I just want to learn and I just want to make $10K, $15K. I saw all the videos on Google Ads certification and they said I could do Google Ads and make $200, $300, $400 a day. How come I can't do that? My guys, that doesn't exist. What you heard was a fucking lie. That's what you heard, lies. I'm telling you right now that those are nothing but oil changes. That's all those are. Maybe switching out a tire, maybe even at that level. Well, what do you mean, Yousaf? Well, let's talk about it. AI now, through Gemini, when you go into the Google ads, you can easily make ads. You can easily make campaigns. You can easily make ad sets and turn those on and whatever. But the one thing it doesn't do is conversions. You need to learn conversions. And you can't learn conversions until you learn how Google Analytics work, how GTM works, how the debug tool works. That's advanced, guys. That's advanced. You want to be a good operator? Learn that. That's your job. That is your job. Do not ever, if anybody on this podcast can hear me, and this means clients too, Oh, I want to do ads. But do you connect the ads? Do you set up the conversions? That is the difference between an amateur, having AI do the work, having probably about the intellect of a sophomore or junior in high school do the ads. Not even a senior, not even a college freshman. A fucking junior in high school can do the ads versus someone who is at a very high level that can connect the pipes, that can do the conversions, that can figure out the drop-off, figure out your conversion rate, bring your cost per acquisition down. That is a true operator. That is a true quote-unquote expert. Anybody can run ads. Ads is the easiest part of the process right now. It's the fucking easiest. Anybody. Again, look at your little brother or sister. Are they in high school? Chances are they'd be a great ads buyer at generating or creating campaigns. I guarantee you they would be pretty good. Look at them. I'm sure they would be great. That's why this industry attracts so many overseas people. It seems so simple. But then, how do you set up GA? How do you set up the debug tool? How do you figure out why your purchases are showing but not your add to cart? And how do you port them over into Google Ads? You know how to do that? Do you know how to fix the conversion window? Make sure you're getting conversions? Do you know what call ads, what objective call ads really works with? It's leads. It's actually a lead campaign. It's not PMAX or search or all these other, well, actually it is search, but it's not conversions. Call ads work on lead campaigns, lead search campaigns. Why is that? Because that's the only campaign type that unlocks call ads. The actual like physical call ads, that like when you're on your mobile device and it says click to call, that is only available on leads, not available anywhere else. It's not available. There's click to call on site and bullshit like that, but that's it. There's also amending the call on the ads, but the actual true call ads is on leads. That is fact, my friends. That's not bullshit. But no one knows that. That is what makes you an expert. So when the client comes up to you and they say, oh, hey, I want to do ads. Okay, cool. All right. Yeah, I can do ads. Anybody can do ads. But the problem is you need to ask further and figure out what's wrong. That's the problem. And that's a big problem with this agency. This actually morphs into something else I've been seeing that's been frustrating me a lot on Fiverr and Upwork is I get a lot of people ask me, what's your retainer for doing ads? Hey, what's your retainer? Well, mine's pretty high. I have staff that do it for $30 an hour. That's fine. I could subcontract them all day. But if you really want good ads, I'm about 5 times that. And that's because I know what I'm doing. That's because I'm in charge of it. That's in charge. You're having a Jedi Knight work on it. It's not some just person. It's not just some person, a junior buyer. And think about what an expert is. Think about it. If you are not an expert, that's the only way you could charge expert prices. So going back to my example with Upwork and Fiverr. So many times these lowest bidding people, I was about to say something else, I'm not. They come up to me and they say, hey, how much it costs to do ads, blah, blah. And look at the average cost per person they pay. $8, $10, $15 an hour. It's laughable, man. I always shake my head. No, a true operator, first of all, operates on retainer. That's the first thing. You need to get out of hourly. That's probably the first thing. Unless you're a contract. If you're under a contract with a white label, with an agency, that makes sense. But with a service, absolutely that should be retainer. That should always be retainer. Should be paying for results, not for hours. You'll lose. You'll lose automatically. The next thing they say is, well, okay, what's your retainer? Well, it can be anywhere between 400 and 5,000. How much, what's your spend? What's your platforms? How much do I have to do? Oh, well, what are the chances it's 4 or 5 or 600? Well, it depends what your problem is. Do you want expert service or do you want, just simple setups? It's shocking how that breaks down a lot of times. A decent retainer really is 1,500 to 3,000, really. Think about all the work you're doing. Overseas, if they went overseas, is roughly 600. So you charge roughly double that. Or if it's very simple, you could charge lower if it's a simple setup. But either way, you should be an expert and you should be charging expert rates. If you are not an expert, you charge amateur rates and you warn them. You say, okay, you want cheap service? You want a $400 service a month? Well, first of all, to break it down, $400 service or even $600 service, let's go high, let's say 600, is roughly a week to maintain your business and make sure you get sales. $150 a week? I mean, guys, that's less than a car payment on a lot of cars, $600. And you want me to save your business? That's not how this works. Think about it. Now, you have to crawl before you walk. You have to get out of amateur mode. And the way you do that is with case studies and proven reviews. And those are all over my Upwork. Both of those. I have screenshots. Actually, I got to update the screenshots. The last one I did was November, about 60 days old. So I got to update them for February. But I have current results, good metrics, and solid returns. And I'm certified. So going back to my original problem, when somebody says, hey, I want to start ads, the first thing I say is, go do something hard. Go get certified by Blueprint. Well, I want to do Google Ads. Yes, I know that. Blueprint is a very hard test. The click-through rates, all the vocabulary, click-through rates, cost per click, cost per conversion, ATC, IC, all that bullshit. That is all carries through to all the platforms. That's what Blueprint is. Now, mind you, most of my business is Google Ads. Before it was opposite. It was actually, I would say, 70% Meta Ads, 30% Google. Now it's reverse. I'm easily 3/4 Google Ads, 25% Meta. And I purposely did that because Google is the platform of business. It is. Shopping, there's nothing close to it. PMAX, nothing close to it. Search, as wide reach as it gets. Meta has metastasized into a mid-level platform because of the disconnects due to iOS 14. But this is where an expert's needed. Again, anybody can set up campaigns, and also anybody can fail. But a true champion can win. To win, you have to be an expert. You have to be. And that's how you get expert prices. And trust me, I'm not talking $600. I'm talking about double that easy. Easy. Even more. But to get to that level, you need case studies. You need to know what to do. You need to know what to do. Do you know what to do? Do you know how to do all those things I said? If you know what to do, then you should be fine. If you don't, find a way to get mentored. Classes, Udemy is okay, but go take a hard test. Pass it. That's by the way, that's proctored. Meta Blueprint is proctored. You can't cheat on it. Google Ads you can cheat on, let's be honest. The other test, Blueprint, it is monitored. Your camera has to be on. You can't make noise. You have to be able to solve all the problems. If you can solve all the problems, you get through. If not, that's it. Prove you had the chops. The other video on my YouTube channel tells you exactly how to win. It tells you how to pass the Meta Blueprint exam. Foolproof. It takes about 2 months or a month. You can do it. Maybe 2 months if you don't have any experience. 1 month if you have. Do it. It's a good test. It shows you're an expert. Believe in yourself. You did it. I think that's good for now. Let's kind of research on this. So what am I saying here? Amateurs, people who dabble, only can earn crappy rates. Well, what if I hire somebody who's good? Okay, and what if they steal the business from you? Trust me, I haven't done that. I've kind of seen it done many times, and it's been kind of done to me. What are you good for then? Bringing the client over? You have to be very careful, my friends. People are desperate right now. You throw in overseas workers and desperation and everything else, you got a very toxic mix. You need to be able to interpret at least at the very minimum and identify good advice, good returns versus bad ones. Be an expert. Next thing, even if you don't do the ads, if you subcontract, take the the Meta Blueprint exam. Pass it. Show that you're certified. Show that you're the expert in the room. I guarantee you, maybe 2% have passed that damn test of all buyers. Maybe 2. I would dare say maybe 0.5. Somewhere between 2% and 0.5% of all buyers have passed that test. Show you're the expert in the room. Then, case studies. Develop your case study. Show that you have proven results. That's how you get expert wages. That's how you get paid like a Jedi Knight. Anyways, my friends, thank you so much. I love being like this. I want to make sure I want to better you. I want to make sure you're good buyers. If you have any questions, call me, 213-700-8812. Just mention you listen to the podcast. Thank you so much.